you conservatives who are like-minded, we can embrace log cabin Republicans. That's the conservative. That's the Doug Murray type people, right?
Okay.
We can embrace them because we have conservative values, right? And let's make the enemy the woke agenda, and that's still afar from the scriptures.
Yeah.
It's like, essentially what you're saying is we're coming against Christianity, which is why you're going to see both parties attack the church at some point.
Yeah.
Like,
So
okay, let me give you an example. Now, Joe Rogan, I think, has softened up a bit, but he is still not a Christian and has been outspoken against the church.
yes.
He's conservative, maybe a little more libertine, right? Libertarian type, but he has been outspoken against the church. And you're going to see more people like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan. Who was the other one that Vivek mentioned? Oh goodness, I'm missing it. You're going to see guys like that who hold conservative type values. Classical.
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson claims to be Christian, but I don't know enough about him to make too much of an assessment. I just know that these two have been pretty outspoken. Those guys are going to have a following that says we can be conservative, we can like traditional values, we can enjoy our classical political systems, we can enjoy a free market, we can do those things and not have the church and not have Christianity, and so now you have two parties who are not for the church.
Yeah.
Now the moment we stand up and say to the spineless, cowardly Republicans, now they're like, hey, now we're taking shots.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Here's the play, as it were, as I see it. The Republicans, all they need to do is they just need to soften on some of these issues so that they can get elected. And then they say it's the same ideology and the same rhetoric that I heard during Trump's the two times that he ran for office was, well, if we don't elect these guys, then we'll be left with those guys over there. And so we can jettison all of those ethical values and all those moral claims and moral majority, as you were talking about there, and say, but you guys will still come with us. Ultimately, you will be in lockstep with us, because at the end of the day, this two-party system that we have is you either take that guy or you take this guy. And
that's the dilemma of the church right now. I talked to many conservative Christians. Their argument is not necessarily that we are just gung-ho about the Republican Party. It's that we can maybe have more of a home if they're in office versus where we are. And here's the problem I see with that. That's just not the way eschatology works. We're citizens of heaven. I'm not saying we go pick fights with political parties. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
I want to pick fights with political parties.
I'm just saying
system is trash.
I'm just saying that what's going to happen is you're going to try to be friends with these people and marry. And what I mean, I'm speaking generally speaking as a belief system. You're going to try to kind of marry with these people and hang with these people, and eventually they're going to cut you loose for two reasons. One, they're not driven by a belief in a sovereign God who judges sin. They're not believe, and two, they're going to get. I think God is going to separate you from them, because at the end of the day, the church is going to have to be the testimony that Christ came, suffered and died on the cross to atone for sin, was buried 3 days, risen, and all who call upon him will be saved, and all who reject him will be condemned to eternal hell.
All right, let's get some comments from Larry, who is talking about the fact that very brainwashed from television. There are some dueling narratives that are going on in the media, and the problem is, if you disagree, you are part of the problem. And tuning in and what's going on here with everybody, you guys just get in lockstep. You guys just follow what it is that we're saying. Thanks, Larry, for your contribution to the show. Jason, really quickly, I want to go to another video that I have, and I've not watched this all the way through, and so we can react in real time to what's going on here. And this is the Democrats secure key victories on election night, and these are the legacy media affiliates who are talking about what these quote-unquote wins mean for the Democratic Party. And so I figured we could enjoy some of this. And I use that term enjoyment very loosely.
Key issue. And yet, Democrats say after the results of last night's election, that issue simply does not work in any competitive race virtually anywhere in the country. How do you respond to that?
Well, it seemed to play a prominent role in the elections of both Brian Kemp and Mike DeWine just a year or so ago.
Governors in Georgia and Ohio.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, where we saw the issue won. But if you take a step back for a moment, this is an issue.
All right, let's look at this poll. What are we thinking about this?
54% oppose a federal law making abortion illegal. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it just like listen, guys, church. I know this is hard. Like, we are in that. You know, we are. I think in North Carolina, there's a law that says you have to wait a whole year before you actually officially get divorced. So you can separate and like pretty much kind of be divorced, but it takes a year. So they're hoping you're going to reconcile, and then after a year, then you can go ahead and file them and be immediately divorced, right? I feel like the church and the political enjoyment we're in that year.
Okay, we're gonna make this official.
We're in the year. We're in that year time. We know it's coming, and we wish we could change it. We wish we could make it better. We wish we could maybe something. We're the kid who's sitting there hoping that mom and dad reconcile, but they're not going to, and we know they're not going because dad's starting to see other people, mom's starting to see other people, and you're
wow.
watching your whole,
this analogy got deep.
You're watching your whole reality just kind of crash, and you're like, this sucks, and that's where we are. That's where we are, and
yeah.
I think that the church in our country, the church and what we understood as nostalgia, America, the church and our political system is in that year. The church, God's people, Christians who love Jesus, we're in that year where we're realizing that we are not as connected. We're being over here, and it's not that we're defeated. We're not defeated. There's just a great separation happening between the church and our citizenship, our what we are as Americans, and
yeah. So let me be clear on this show. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am a follower of Christ, and I think really diving deep into that reality for me, and I think also for Jason in some regards, means that we can be Republican light, Democrat light, and we can actually bring some measure. I know we're all biased to some degree, but some measure of fairness to the discussion of what's going on in the Republican Party. Don't hear us just banging on the Republican Party and just automatically assume, oh, that's because you guys are woke, or that's because you guys are Democrats. Mm-hmm. No, there's some serious issues that are there. And so it is with the kakistocracy that we have, which is government run by fools. I think that I could run for president of the United States and win because there would actually be some kind of moral, ethical, family impetus to be able to run on. I believe, and I'll just be clear about this, the reason why I'm calling the Republicans fools and the Democrats fools is because we've been duped into a two-party system in which we think there are only two options. And we know, based on philosophy, we know based on history, that that's not the case. There are more options that are available, and there are more thinkers that are available, and there are more solutions that are available. We don't avail ourselves of that because we have a strange two-party system. But beyond that, I think that running on a campaign of family values, running on a campaign of ethical, moral, and historical impetus would so bring light to the issues that are the dark issues that are found in our culture. Like we hadn't even got around to, we've talking about abortion today, but we hadn't even got around to human trafficking. We hadn't gotten around to just massive cronyism that's going on in our government overspending,
education was a huge deal in Virginia.
Education stuff there. And so we're bringing these issues out so that as believers, we continue to have these as the forefront of our discussions. I sit around my table, Jason, this week, and I was having discussions with my kids about the workforce. people these days don't want to work. So I'm telling my kids,
Mhm.
look, when you get a job, drive home the issue of the fact that you're going to be there, you're going to be dependable, you're going to work hard, and you'll make more money than the people that are around you. Why? Because you'll get hired and they won't. They'll get fired and you won't.
Yeah.
You'll get raises and they won't because they're lazy. Your
That's
generation is lazy, and take advantage of them. Drive them into the ground.
We have a mantra in our house that's from day one. The moment that Naomi was born to where Elias is nobody outworks the plumbers. When we show up
Okay.
somewhere, we're going to outwork not even the Anna Vitar taste.
Oh!
Right? We